Let's do this thing.
All right, it looks like we are recording.
Okay,
All right, so
great.
maybe we'll kick it off and tell you a little bit about ourselves and
Yeah.
what we're looking to do. So as you know, our author that we represent is Page Turner, and he is one of the country's foremost booksellers, I think, if not the best bookseller in the United States. And he's looking to switch up shops with who has the privilege of doing his publishing. So that's why we're meeting today, and we're hoping to learn a little bit more about what you can do for us, how much it's going to cost, and what everything is going to look like.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, well, we are senior representatives of Best Books, and we are really looking forward to talking to you guys today about Page and what we'll be able to do for them.
Excellent.
Cool. So
Go ahead.
go ahead, Emilio.
Well, I was just gonna kind of start off with a quick question of just the level of interest about Best Books and kind of how that started and where your headspace is at in terms of why Paige is looking to partner with Best Books.
Yeah, so I think Paige has recognized, and myself as well, and Evan have recognized Best Books growth over the last 5 or so years. And there have been some, I won't air out dirty laundry, but there have been some disagreements between our last publisher. So we are looking at a number of options, but Best Books is certainly, we do like you guys. You are in the conversation.
Great. Can I just ask for a little bit more, not airing dirty laundry and certainly no names, but what were at the heart of the grievances with the last publisher?
Sure. So they had sole rights to renew the contract and on past books, and that was something that was a big stickler with Page. They also they're just the way they managed the account. They were not very forthright in the way the contract was written.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
transparency is
Yeah,
something we're
sounds
looking
like
for.
transparency. Okay.
yeah, and honestly, a lot of it had to do with scale too. Demand for Page Turner's books and literary works has increased significantly, and we're just limited with the amount of markets that we have access to. So really, we'd like to see a firm step in where the other firm is stepping out and give us access to other international markets as well as
Okay.
additional book clubs that adopt the book. We've got all these celebrities knocking on our door to produce works for films, both here in the United States and elsewhere as well. I believe, Greg, you'd mentioned something about, I think it was Angelina Jolie that had reached out to you directly, Jennifer Lawrence, and then we had some Indian actors as well. Salman Khan, which I guess is a big deal over there, sort of their equivalent of Tom Cruise.
Oh man.
No pressure, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds like a tough act to follow here, huh?
Yeah, so could you give us a little bit of background on Best Books and maybe what drives you guys? What is the image that you guys like to project?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll start with certainly, the appeal of working with Paige being just how incredibly popular and what a great talent that would be to work with. And like you said, our growth, we definitely want to keep that growth going, and certainly to the benefit of all those writers that we work with. So we certainly see that as mutually beneficial. Yeah, really wanting to pay close attention to those grievances or the places where the last publisher was falling short. Certainly it sounds like not giving Page the deal that they are due. So in terms of just like what our interests are and our priorities are, I'd start there. I don't know, Emilio, if there's anything you wanted to add.
Yeah, I think just kind of piggybacking off that a little bit, I think we're we're going in a direction where we really want to start being a lot more personable with our clients, and frankly, Paige fits kind of the mold and the build of what we're really trying to get after and kind of be the forefront of this enterprise, really. So that's just another piece I would add, but I think what Kat mentioned just then is also spot on.
Mhm.
And we really want to simplify working with us. Transparency is certainly going to be top of our list. And it sounds like that is something that is becoming more important to Paige. And just really wanting to make it as simple to work with us and get what you guys want and need out of that as well, and not smoke and mirrors and like drowning you in jargon and all of that. Great. All right. So I maybe some additional level setting that will help me. Though going in, I'm making the assumption that we're thinking of all of the different kind of key components of the contract. I don't know if we want to take the time to explicitly validate that we're looking at the same kind of structure of the contract.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? Okay.
That's no pun intended, but it makes sense for us to all get on the same page, right?
Uh,
There you go.
nice.
Love
Just
it.
had to.
Yeah.
Great. So I'm just gonna quick run off the list. Royalties, percentage per sale, contract signing bonus, number of weeks that the book will remain in publication, number of weeks that Paige has to promote the book, duration of the contract in years, number of times that the contract is renewable at the option of the publisher, and then number of countries where the book will be sold, and lastly, number of book clubs that will adopt the book. So
Yeah.
I know some of those you guys have already mentioned as important, which is great that we know that, but anything else did I miss?
No, I think you've got it. That about captures everything. If you
Okay.
like, we could start at the bottom and we'll work our way to the top.
Great, yeah.
Sounds
I
great.
think for number of book clubs that will adopt the book, we're looking for a minimum of 6.
Okay,
And then number of countries where the book will be sold. I mentioned the Indian market, right?
Right.
But
hmm
just to stop, with the United States and India, we were looking at expanding as well. And we'd like to see 17 markets carrying our products. And then the number of times that the contract is renewable at the option of the publisher. I think we just mentioned that we got kind of burned by our last publisher. So we'd like to move forward on more of sort of a trial basis and start with 0 times that it can be renewed. If we like what we see and we see results and essentially we develop a good working relationship, we can discuss that again in the future. And then duration of the contract, again, we can talk about this. It's let's see here. I think the number that we had down would be 3 years. And then the number of weeks that Paige has to promote the book, we think 12 is perfectly reasonable. Shouldn't take much more than that. And then the number of weeks that the book will remain in publication, we had 240 down as our number. And then the contract signing bonus, we put together a number that we thought was very fair at just 28,750, and then royalties thereafter at 18%.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
can you repeat for me the royalties?
Yeah, that was 18%.
Okay. And then I think I apologize, missed countries sold into.
That was 17.
Okay, thank you.
So I know that was a lot of numbers thrown your way.
Yeah.
What is I'll give you a second to digest, and I saw that you guys were taking notes, but what is your initial reaction, and which of those are the most important to you?
Yeah. Well, I know that you just framed the question as which are most important. I think what might be easier for me is to start with which are we able to be and willing to be most flexible on? Is it okay if I just flip that?
Sure.
Great. So when it comes to duration of the contract, we're totally flexible on that. I think 3 years is great, so happy to keep it there. And then additionally, I think when it comes to the, just taking a look here at my own notes, the royalties, I think we'd actually like to maybe work that down a little bit, transitioning there to, you know, where we'd like to see a little flexibility on your guys' end. And then I think the contract signing bonus too is something that we're willing to be pretty flexible on that, but still need likely a little movement and a little kind of accommodation there.
Gotcha. Any reason why? We upped the number of the book countries that we're the countries that we're selling the books into and the book clubs, but the royalties and the contract signing bonus terms are very similar to what we experienced with our current vendor. We essentially just held those constant across the board for you.
Mm-hmm. Well, those are just something that I think we're, in terms of like, most willing to be flexible with. I think all of those other categories are the ones we're going to want to actually double click more on.
So you
that
mean
makes
the
sense.
ones that you mentioned or the ones that you haven't mentioned?
The ones that I haven't mentioned. So the royalties, the contract signing bonus, and the duration of contract years. I think we're willing to really meet you as closely as we can there. But certainly I think we're going to want to have a little bit more digging into what your non-negotiables are with those other areas of it, because those are some pretty aggressive numbers to us, especially when it comes to holding all of our like operating costs and the treatment of our author authors and what we're doing there as well. We're just needing to consider making sure that we're able to support them how we've committed to, as well as still staying open to signing on even additional future authors, and wanting to make sure that the numbers that we agree on with you guys doesn't make that prohibitive for us.
Gotcha. So I think I misunderstood then. So essentially royalties at 18%. You're willing to work with us on it, but you do need some room. Contract signing bonus at 28,750. You're able to get close, need some room there. And then the duration of the contract, 3 years, sounds very reasonable to you.
These are the things that we can get closest to you with. And so I don't know how much time we want to spend there. Sensing that there's likely the other areas are the ones that are going to take probably the most time for us to go back and forth on and find some compromise. Emilio, I don't know.
Yeah, I've been just kind of reviewing the numbers myself, and I think Kat just brings up a good point, is that we're just kind of trying to make sure that the costs that we're putting out, you know, we're still getting some sort of favorable return. I would say something like let's see, the number of weeks that the book will remain in publication. It's, you know, it's just slightly above where we're really trying to be. And then let's see what else here. The countries, you know, another area where it's just a little too much for us. We really need to make sure that the other obligations and commitments that we've made are being honored. I just, you know, I fear with some of these numbers that, you know, we won't be able to do that. We very much want to work with Paige and have them on, but you know, yeah, I think there are some key areas here we're going to have to definitely work through.
Okay. Any reason why you want to sell into more markets and hold the books in those markets for longer periods of time?
Give me just one sec to review my notes here.
Yeah, ultimately it's going to come down to the number of markets that we have access to and that we are selling into.
So one of our big interests in moving, as I mentioned earlier, is to get access to scale.
Mhm.
There might be some growing pains, but you're going to have to increase your capabilities and capacities to meet these needs.
Yeah, yeah, no, and I don't disagree. I think something that I might propose, because we have the technology to do it. Would you guys mind if we did a quick breakout room so that Emilio and I can go over the numbers and come back to you?
Sure, not a problem. I don't know if that's something
Cool.
I'm going to do or.
I think either the host does it or if you make someone a co-host.
Yeah, I'm a Microsoft Teams person, so.
Yeah, me too.
Let's see here. All right, well, I'm going to make you a host, and then we can
Okay.
figure this out together.
Working on it. Sorry, guys.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think
Here
under,
we go. Yeah. So,
all right, we are recording again.
okay, great. Sorry, I'm pulling back up
If
my
you want,
notes.
I can just go on mute and step away for a few minutes or something.
No, that's fine. I was just pulling back up my notes here. So yeah, we definitely understand scalability. Just going back to the countries that we want to be selling the book in. Right now, I'll say our max is 14.
Yeah.
And not to say that that number can't grow in the future. And certainly I'd say, you know, Paige joining us would make those things all the more possible. But there are a few things here where would love to be flexible on some of them, but other ones we're kind of going to be at capacity to accommodate.
Okay. Do you guys have an offer to us asking that the contract not be renewable at all?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch all of that.
Do you guys have a counter to us asking that the contract is not renewed?
Oh, that is specifically the contract renewability.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and you guys, you suggested what again, 0?
Yeah, I think they had suggested 0.
Yeah, and then what had you suggested duration of the contract? So you suggested 3 years for the duration of the contract. I mean, we would, I think, ideally like to have the opportunity to renew the contract 3 times.
That's a lot more than 0, and 3 burn does not sound appealing. If something does go wrong, you know, we don't think it is. You guys have a good reputation, but still, would 2 years work? I mean, honestly, 0 or 1
Yeah,
sounds a lot more appealing, but 2 sounds like a pretty good compromise. Gives you
yeah,
guys, yeah.
I do appreciate the willingness to compromise there, and I do think 2 years is good, especially if we're talking about 3, because we do have some contracts with some of our other authors that the duration is as much as 7 years.
Yeah.
So it's certainly in terms of the level of commitment kind of on the lower end. So being able to raise the times that we can renew is certainly helpful.
Perfect. Yeah, and honestly, Page Turner is really not interested in the business side of things. So, if we get in for 2 years, it goes well, then, you can expect this work to continue in perpetuity. We can,
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense, and I appreciate that sentiment for sure. Great. For
Sorry,
how
Evan.
did you guys feel about, oh, I'm sorry, go on.
Yeah, so you just said the length of the contract, did we just agree is 2 years?
No, the renewability. I was saying how, you guys for length of the contract said 3, which I'm not sure where that's, ranking next to whatever length of contract or duration of contract that you have with your current publisher. But 3 for us is kind of on the lower scale. So it really was a message of appreciating that you're willing to go a little higher on that renewability number, considering that. Just kind of putting it relative to the other contracts that we have with other authors.
oh, okay, I got you. Oh, that makes sense.
Okay. Emilio, is there any next component here of the contract that you'd like to dig into?
Yeah, I'd love to dig into the book club aspect here. So again, 6 is just outside of our reach here. Just kind of echoing what we've kind of been saying throughout the negotiation. So I think something that would be more within our capability would be 5, if that's something that would be of interest.
Yeah, I
I
think,
think, go ahead, Evan.
I was just gonna say, I think 5 would work. That's how Page Turner got his start, was in book clubs. So having 5 it'd be an improvement over where we're at today, and I think he'd appreciate that.
Great. Yeah, because I think 5 for us is a great number, and again, obviously room for growth. But 5 is well within our wheelhouse, and something, yeah, I think we can definitely do. Something we're excited about, honestly. Okay. So then let's move to maybe countries in this aspect here, countries where the book will be sold. So again, sounding like a bit of a broken record, 17 is just outside of our wheelhouse here. A number that I'll just throw back at you, 14.
Yeah, I think we covered that one already. Didn't we agree to 14 just a few minutes ago?
Yeah, I thought.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm sorry,
I
must have-
mentioned 14 was our max. I'm not sure if we landed on something, and I don't think Emilio wanted to like make a leap that you had agreed to
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Now we're cool with 14.
Okay,
Okay,
Works for us.
great.
fantastic. All right. Then taking a look here just at your other numbers. So
We had the duration of the contract. I think you said that 3 sounded like a pretty good number.
yeah, I think if 3 is what you guys are coming in comfortable at, considering that you were willing to compromise with us on how many years we're or how many times rather we're able to renew the contract. I'm
Yeah.
comfortable with that, Emilio. I don't know if you have
No, I'm
Like a
definitely comfortable with that. Had the same
conflicting view.
sentiment about, yeah, if they're giving a little bit of leeway on the renewability, 3 years is great with us. That's fantastic.
Yeah. I will say, like, our position is we want to do everything that we are capable of doing to meet your guys' needs. The only limiter is going to be our capacity on these things, and not necessarily wanting to nickel and dime you and Paige out of like what you're due, if that makes sense. So please believe us that when we say like the max capacity of countries we can do is 14, and we're wanting to give you that very top number that we're able to give. And certainly that's not necessarily our approach with other authors, or rather, you know, what other authors merit and warrant. But we understand of, to the extent of our capabilities, we want to meet Paige at those, if that makes sense.
It
Yeah,
does. We
we
appreciate
can
that.
appreciate that.
Okay. So for, let's see here, next, number of weeks that the book will remain in publication. I think the number you guys said was 240.
It was, yes.
Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So what we're looking at being able to do, again, kind of max capacity is 200. What is your guys' knee-jerk reaction to that?
I think if you're willing to meet our royalty offer at 18%, then we would be willing to meet you guys at 200 weeks.
Okay.
Okay, interesting. What if, since we're kind of, I guess, a little bit connecting those two things here, what about lowering the number of weeks for publication down, and this royalty price here? So let me just say, for instance, you know, number of weeks 150, and the royalty is 15%. So we decrease the number of weeks and still keep a pretty high royalty percentage.
Well, it's not really going to help us if we get a higher royalty on fewer products sold.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure.
Okay, sorry,
Because
misunderstood here.
no, and I think you might just be looking at a different number, but they had originally proposed
Oh, yeah.
240 weeks. Yeah,
I'm looking at
I
different
think
number,
that you're
sorry.
mixing the numbers up. No worries. So 15% is, I think, the ceiling that we can go with royalties.
All right, well, maybe we can hit it. We can put a pin in that one and then discuss the contract signing bonus. And if we're in alignment on that, then maybe some of these other items can pencil out.
Okay. We, if I'm looking at this correctly, I think what we're able to manage, and again, for the sake of like, as the numbers break out and our operating costs and being able to still meet the commitments of all our other authors, when it comes to the contract signing bonus, what we can manage, I think, is just roughly 3,750 under what you're asking for. So I think 25,000 is the number.
All right, so we're at
The
15,
number that we can support. Yeah.
we're at 15 for royalties, 25 for the contract signing bonus. And we're 200 for the number of weeks that will remain in production or a publication, and then a number of weeks that we have to promote the book. What do we got there?
I'm sorry, what was the last one? There
Yeah,
was,
fourth item down, it was the number of weeks that Paige has to promote the book. We had tossed out 12.
yeah. Is there any way Paige could do just 3 more weeks and do 15? What
Yeah,
if we,
I think she could do that.
and then also where, again, we can continue to be flexible and not to backtrack, but it's just, I'm wanting to give back again, knowing that we're just working with the numbers that we've got, and the place where I'm seeing that we can give back a little bit is that how many times can we renew the contract? So happy to drop that to 1 instead of 2, and kind of like wanting to return as much compromise as you were so graciously kind of offering with that one in the first place. Does that help?
Yeah, it can. Which of the outlying top 4 that we're still not agreed upon, which of those are you interested in bargaining for in terms of giving us one less renewable
Oh, I
requirement?
think the number that you had just said before that was we were looking at the weeks that we would want Paige to promote the book, right? So you guys originally proposed, I think it was 12, and we
12.
asked for 15. And it's just, I'm looking at where can we be flexible? And that's in the how many times we would renew. So dropping that to 1 so that, I don't know, it sweetens the deal for you guys to get comfortable with 15 weeks instead of the original 12 that you proposed.
Okay, so to summarize then, if we go to 15 for the royalties, 25 for the signing bonus, 200 for number of weeks, and 15 for number of weeks to promote, that you'll give us a 2 on the number of times that the contract is renewable at the option of the publisher.
No, 1, I was dropping it to 1 because we originally agreed to 2.
Sorry, it's late in the day.
Okay. Thank you. And I'll admit, like, going through the conversation, the one thing that I heard like an explicit, we are okay with that, was just for the weeks to promote. So I'm being really careful that I'm not like blanketing you saying yes to one thing as if you're saying yes to many things. So I want to be, like we said earlier, transparent. I want to be really clear on what I think we have locked so far, which was number of book clubs, number of times the contract is renewable, which we just dropped. And then I think number of countries sold into we had locked. Correct me if I'm wrong. Duration of contract, and then number of weeks Paige would promote. So still having to discuss. Weeks book is in publication. The signing bonus I thought was still open. And then royalties. Am I missing anything?
I think we're unintended, we're on the same page.
Okay. It's not going to get old. Don't worry. Just keep using it. Like this
Yeah,
is the time and
Dad.
the place. Okay, cool. So that's great. Emilio, did you want to tackle one of these few remaining open items?
Sure. Yeah. So I think we could just start again with royalties, having that discussion again. So I think originally proposed was 18. I think something that we would be a little bit more comfortable with would be somewhere between the 13 and 15 range. And we're certainly happy to go to that 15 range. I think for us though, that would have to be the hard cut. I don't think we would be able to do any more than 15% there.
I think that's different than what I just heard Kat say. It sounded like if we went with 15 for royalties, 25 for the signing bonus, and then 50 for the number of weeks to promote, that she'd give us a 1 on the number of times the contract is renewable.
Correct. I was referring to the royalty percentage. So
Okay.
the number of, so the royalty percentage, sorry, is 15% is what I'm referring to there. That's the ceiling for us.
What do you think, Greg? Are we get to lock this in?
If we agree to 15% at the royalties, you had countered with 25,000 on the contract signing. Can
Correct.
you go higher?
Unfortunately, we wouldn't be able to go higher with the bonus as well. I think again the ceiling there is 25, and even at that point that's stretching our budget to almost its absolute max.
I will say I think, if we frame this in terms of where the give is, by making the contract renewable only once, that means that, like, to me, I don't look at that as just an automatic Page jettisons and goes and starts hunting for another publisher, to me, that means we open contract back up to negotiation. And considering we are looking to be really strategic here and inject even more momentum into our growth and our scalability, to me, you know, I think of that as lowering it now, but being able to like actually make dividends in terms of royalties and some of these other areas in the future. So I know that it's another thing that you guys would have to bend on, but in terms of what is our future commitment to that, that's kind of how I'm looking at it and would want to frame it for you guys.
All right, now that sounds good. I think we agree. Appreciate your flexibility.
No, we appreciate your flexibility, because I remembered you said Angelina Jolie earlier and something about the Indian Tom Cruise. So that is not lost on us.
All right.
Okay, so, and I apologize because I'm trying to keep track here with the many moving parts. What is left outstanding here?
I think we're good across the board. We got 15 for royalties, contract signing at 25, number of weeks book will remain in publication at 200, number of weeks to promote 15, duration of the contract 3, number of times renewable at 1, number of countries where it will be sold 14, and then number of book clubs that will adopt the book at 5.
Okay, fantastic. Those are the numbers I have as well.
Yep, that's exactly what I have written down as well here.
All right, so
Okay.
right then, I think we stopped the recording, right? And then we moved.
Yes,
Okay.
we've got to do like the next bit.